Hello, learners, and welcome to the Koala English Podcast. I'm Caroline, and I'm really happy you're spending this time with me today. Now, before we get into the lesson, let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever been in a situation where you see someone you know, a coworker, a neighbor, maybe someone from your English class, or even someone in an online meeting, and you want to say something, but suddenly your mind goes completely empty? You know you should speak. You know this is a normal moment, but your brain freezes. You stand there, maybe smiling a little too much, maybe nodding your head, hoping the other person will speak first. And then it happens, that very uncomfortable silence. Yes, that's silence. If this has ever happened to you, I want you to know right away, you are absolutely not alone. This happens to so many English learners. And to be honest, it even happens to native speakers sometimes. That feeling of panic, that pressure to say the right thing, can turn a very small moment into something that feels stressful and heavy. And the longer the silence lasts, the harder it feels to break it. You start thinking, is it too late to say something now? Maybe they're busy. But here's the good news. Today, I want to show you that everyday conversations do not need to be complicated. You don't need advanced grammar. You don't need big or fancy vocabulary. What you really need is a simple structure, something reliable you can use when your mind goes blank. So today, we're going to talk about how to feel more confident in simple everyday conversations in English by using one small but very powerful idea. Think of it as a conversation key. Something you can keep in your pocket and use anytime, anywhere. This key works at work, at school, in cafés, on public transport, when chatting with a neighbor, and even in online meetings. And the best part is, you can start using it today. Let me tell you a short story. A few years ago, I met an English learner who told me she avoided the kitchen at work every morning. Not because she didn't like coffee, but because she was afraid of small talk. She said, "Caroline, I'm scared someone will talk to me, and I won't know what to say." That made me feel really sad, because conversation should help us feel connected, not anxious. So we practiced just a few simple phrases together. A few weeks later, she told me something amazing. She said, "Now I actually look forward to saying good morning." And that is exactly what I want for you. So let's talk about daily routines, because they are one of the easiest and safest topics in English. Everyone has a routine. We all wake up, we all eat, we all work, study, rest, or take care of family. Because of that, daily routines are a perfect conversation topic. When we talk about things we do every day, we usually use the present simple tense. Don't worry too much about the grammar name. Just remember this. The present simple is used for habits and regular actions, things that are always true or usually true. For example, when you say, I wake up at 6, you are not talking about yesterday or tomorrow. You are talking about your normal life, your routine. That's why this tense is so useful for everyday conversation. Now imagine this situation. You arrive at work in the morning. You see a coworker near the coffee machine. Instead of panicking, you ask a simple question. Do you wake up early? That's it. This question is friendly, polite, and natural. It doesn't feel too personal, and it doesn't feel strange. It's just right. And when someone asks you that question, your answer can be very simple. You can say, yes, I wake up at 6. Or maybe, no, I usually wake up at 8. That word usually is a very useful word. It means something happens most of the time, but not always. You can also use words like always, often, sometimes, or never. These are called frequency words because they tell us how often something happens. Frequency words make your English sound more natural, and they give the listener a little more detail about your life. You can continue if you want. You might say, I wake up at 6 and I start work at 7:30. Or, I wake up at 8 because I work from home. Notice how natural that sounds. You're not trying to speak perfectly. You're just sharing information. Sharing small details about your day is a very natural way to start a conversation. Let's look at another situation, timeshare. Imagine you're in an English class and you're talking to another student. You might ask, do you start work early? They answer, and then you share your own routine. Or maybe you're at a cafe and you want to start a light conversation. You could ask, do you drink coffee in the morning? That's a very natural question in many English-speaking countries. Even talking about something simple like drinks can lead to a longer conversation. I usually drink coffee with milk. What about you? You're not only sharing, but inviting them to share as well. And what about transport? Maybe you're on the bus or train and you sit next to someone. You could ask, do you take this bus every day? Or do you drive to work? You might answer, no, I take the train. And then, of course, the bridge. What about you? This pattern works everywhere, even online. In a virtual meeting, you could say, do you work from home often? Or, do you have coffee before starting work? The same simple pattern, same words, same confidence. Now here is the most important part. The part that really changes everything. After you answer, you don't stop. You don't let the conversation end. You build a bridge. And this bridge is only 3 words long. What about you? These 3 words are incredibly powerful. They show interest, they show politeness, and most importantly, they invite the other person to speak. Think about how it feels when someone asks you a question and actually listens. That's what about you does. It turns talking into connecting. And connection is the real goal of language. Let's explore more real-life examples so you can really feel comfortable using this pattern. Imagine you're talking about lunch. You might ask, do you eat lunch at home or at work? You answer, I usually eat lunch at work. And then you say, what about you? Or imagine you're talking about exercise. You could ask, do you exercise in the morning? You answer, I sometimes exercise in the evening. What about you? You can also use this pattern for weekends. Do you work on weekends? No, I usually rest on weekends. What about you? Or for transport, do you drive to work? No, I take the bus. What about you? And even for hobbies, do you like reading? Yes, I often read in the evenings. What about you? Once you understand the structure, you can use it with almost any topic: food, work routines, hobbies, exercise, transport, pets, online classes, or even simple things like the weather. Do you like sunny days? Yes, I love sunny days. What about you? Even small details can start a friendly, natural conversation. Now, let's talk a little about culture, because English is spoken in many countries, and conversation styles can feel different. In the United States, friendly small talk is very common. People often talk about their routines, their weekends, or their plans. Asking questions is usually seen as friendly, not rude. In the United Kingdom, conversations are polite but sometimes more reserved. People may give shorter answers, and your tone, how your voice sounds, is very important. A calm, gentle voice sounds respectful. In Australia, conversations are often relaxed and informal. Short sentences are normal, and talking about daily life in a cafe or at work feels very natural. Even small cultural differences can make a big impact. For example, in the US, it's normal to ask, did you have a good weekend? But in the UK, people might just smile and say, fine, thanks, without giving much detail. In Australia, they might answer very casually, yeah, good, went to the beach. Understanding these differences helps you feel more confident and natural. No matter where you are, one thing stays the same. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are simply trying to connect. And that connection matters more than perfect grammar. In many workplaces, these small daily conversations help people feel included. When people feel heard, they feel like they belong. And when people feel like they belong, they feel more confident speaking English. Now let's practice together again, because repetition is key. I'll say a phrase and I want you to repeat it out loud if you can. Even if you're alone, this helps your brain remember the pattern. Do you wake up early? Good. Let's say it again. Do you wake up early? Now an answer. I wake up at 6. Again. I wake up at 6. Let's try another one. I usually start work at 8. Again, I usually start work at 8. Now with a frequency word. I sometimes eat breakfast at home. Again, I sometimes eat breakfast at home. And now the bridge. What about you? One more time. What about you? Excellent. You're doing really well. Let's add more examples for practice. Do you take the bus to work? I usually drive my car. What about you? Do you exercise in the morning? I often exercise in the evening. What about you? Do you eat lunch at home? I sometimes eat lunch at a cafe. What about you? Do you read books in English? I always read a little every evening. What about you? Do you watch TV after work? I never watch TV. What about you? See how easy it is to change the words but keep the pattern? That's the beauty of this tool. It's simple, flexible, and it works in almost any situation. Before we finish, I want you to remember this. You do not need long or complicated sentences to communicate well. Simple English is powerful English. Confidence comes from using what you already know. Every time you speak, you are practicing. Every time you practice, you are improving, even if you make mistakes. So I'll leave you with one final question. Now that you have this simple conversation key, who are you going to talk to today? Maybe a neighbor, a coworker, a classmate, or even someone in an online meeting. Take that first step. Start small. Use the opener, the answer, and the bridge, and watch your confidence grow. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Koala English Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to share your thoughts or ideas in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. Keep reading, keep learning, and I'll talk to you again very soon.